And welcome to another film session that is The Past Attractions. I am your director of this video, Jeremy Evans, along with my co-director and sometimes screenwriter for certain things. That is Nam Tran. How are you doing, Nam?
How's it going, Jay?
Today we're going to talk about a very classic, of course, all the way back to 1996, where we talk about a movie that really a big blockbuster hit movie that is Independence Day. No. But we got a movie like that, and that is Mars Attack that came out on December 13th. Is it a Christmas movie? No, it's not a Christmas movie. You have a thought there when I went there. What you got? What you thinking over there? Was it 95?
No, I was sitting there thinking that I was thinking to myself, like, didn't we talk about Independence Day? You could check that out in the archives, right?
Yes, you
I
can.
thought we talked about Independence Day, right? Yeah.
Yes, we did. You can check it out because it was one of our 4th of July episodes on the In-Game Boss program. So you can go check that page and check it out when Jeremy met Nam. That's what the title of the show of that one is. But
Yeah.
childhood. This movie called me. I was like, let's do it. I was on the Tim Burton bus. Let's go. You know, Tim Burton was just handing out bangers. And I was like, oh, Tim Burton's doing Aliens? Let's see what he can do with that. My dad took me. Bless his heart. He was a trooper. Thank God he liked movies. He probably hated his movie. I haven't really talked to him about it, but he never brought it up. That's how I got introduced to the movie. I saw like a trailer for it, and I want to go see it. It looks dumb. It looks silly. It looks hilarious. Very cartoonish and everything like that. Nam, how were you introduced to Mars Attack?
So I was just sitting there looking at some of the movies that I thought were similar to it in this realm, and I was wrong. So trying to figure out exactly where I saw Mars Attacks. Honestly, I think it just had to be a trailer, right? It honestly had to be trailers.
Mm-hmm.
I think the trailers itself got me to check this movie out because it's Tim Burton. It has that style. Not really his typical gothic style, but just kind of his humor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It has his humor. And I think stylistically speaking, it was just different and kind of campy, and it looked fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at the time, I think I would say I liked sci-fi movies per se, alien sci-fi movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was kind of up my alley at the time. Now, more specifically, don't know, but I'm pretty sure there were trailers. I think that's what really hooked me into it.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about this film, before we go even further in the details of the story, is I think Tim Burton he was at that peak where everybody wanted to be in his film. This was the movie, I guess, was the thing. Like, I want to be part of a Tim Burton project. Because out of Tim Burton's record of movies, I have never seen him have this much of a big of a cast, or a cast that end up becoming big stars later down the road, right? And my other only comparison to that is more of a present movie that came. Christopher Nolan with Oppenheimer, right? Like, I want to be in a Nolan film. I don't care what it is. I want to be in it. And I feel like this is kind of for Tim Burton. Mars Attack was everybody in it, because this is a huge cast. It's like, in my mindset in the 90s, I can't think of a cast this big for a film. Can you, anything ring a bell to you that is like this crazy of a lineup?
No, I mean, I think there was just, I don't know if you can really call them cameos. They weren't really cameos in this movie. They were just a bunch of people in this movie, and only one person got paid. Only one person got paid in this movie. Everybody else wanted to take pay cuts because they just wanted to be in this Tim Burton movie, which is interesting because I'm like, Mars Attacks, I guess that would make more sense than any other of the movies that he created, to have a bunch of cameos, or not cameos, but a bunch of people in. Because what other situations and what other movies could we think of, like Tim Burton wise, that you can just stick a bunch of people into it?
Other than Beetlejuice, and they can be like, people from the other world, but we're talking about actually like people looking like humans. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Other than the possibility of Beetlejuice, maybe but they won't have nearly as a meaningful role in the movies, and they couldn't just randomly go off.
Yes,
So
because
I agree.
yeah, and especially this movie, the screenwriter Jonathan Jims was aiming for 60 lead characters in this film, but cut it down to 23 due to budget. And like, I mean, my mind would be like, what can you do with 60 people in this amount of time of a film? You know, like after that, like after 23, everybody's a cameo. There's no way you could do this unless you're making this like a trilogy or something like that that like continue on. But no, no. And you can understand now, like when Tim Burton brings back actors from later in his films, that I think Mars Attack was the middle ground. Like, and then you see him again. Like, have they ever been in a film together? Mars Attack. They were in Mars Attack. And when it comes to the simple plot, it's basically it's one of those like, what if the human race were a lot more friendlier, more welcoming to a stranger coming to their planet compared to Independence Day? It was more of like, everybody be ready, stuff is about to go down, we're all gonna die or something like that, right? So Mars Attack is more like, let's see what they got to say, and they're from Mars. What's the worst that could happen, you know? And a lot bad things happen because it's basically about the relationship between Earthlings and the Martians. It ends up being the Martians trying to take over or destroy Earth in their own way. So basically the concept. What you get out of this film is a lot of different characters playing different. A lot of actors playing different roles, and a bunch of things going on at the same time as they're prepping up for the Martians to come to the disaster that they strike on Earth. And I think I walked away watching this movie when I was little of, did the aliens entertain me enough? And second, was there any characters that stood out to me other than the aliens? Because I think the aliens are starting to show. And so that's the goal we're going to be talking about in this show is, did this movie really capture the cheesiness that it was going for? Did the aliens were entertaining? And was, out of all these 23 lead actors, they say, who stood out the most to them? So Nam, I'm going to go to you first here. B movie. Tim Burton said he wanted to make these aliens look as cheesy as hell. He was thinking about doing claymation style, kind of like, or stop motion, kind of like similar to Beetlejuice and all this stuff. But the artist that was doing it was busy doing another film at the time, so they decided to do CG. They decided that they wanted to make them as cheesy and hideous as possible, you know, to make them really stand out, and the special effects and all this kind of stuff, and to make this over-the-top cheesiness. Did they do a good job of it, and were you entertained by that?
It was interesting. I think when you first posed this question, I wasn't quite sure where you're gonna go with it, so I was kind of waiting. It's kind of playing the wait and see game, right, and see where we were gonna go with this. But as far as like the aliens, I do feel that they had they had a little bit of a mold to play with, right? Because the, the Mars Attacks itself was like a card game, a trading card. I wouldn't say a game, but a trading card thing that was something that was presented in the past. So they did kind of model like the aliens from there. They ended up using who was it? Something Lights and Sound, something that was really popular during that time.
Yeah,
The
Lights and
group,
Sound. They're mostly known for they were created by George Lucas,
yeah.
in or in that kind, or sorry, they were associated with George Lucas the most with Star Wars and anything that has to do with sci-fi or like CG or anything like that, virtual, you know, special effects and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think they were known for their time with Terminator 2 at
Mm-hmm.
the time, and also maybe Jurassic Park. I could be off on this one,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that that Lucas, not Lucas, I apologize. I know that Tim Burton had, like what you had said before, had somebody else in mind, and it ended up going this way because they made a little demo of what they were going to do with the aliens and how they're going to make it work. And Tim Burton ended up loving it. So that's the reason why we went this way. Do I feel like it fits in that they were able to make it cheesy? I do. Because I think that's what makes the movie really unique in itself is the aliens and how they act with each other. Because you would think like this advanced race of aliens that came from another world wouldn't be nearly as goofy and kind of as like openly cheesy
Mm-hmm.
as they are, and just kind of like how over the top they look as Martians. They're literally like the over the top Martians that you would get from like the conversations that you have with people who've been abducted and had probes go up their butt. So I think that that completely perfectly fits like that look and the aesthetics that they were going for when it came to the aliens and how they acted, and that they weren't just like this ultra intelligent race. I mean, they were the ultra intelligent race, but they were the way they moved, the way they acted, like you never would have thought they're just as goofy and stupid as we are. So I think it
Ye-
worked. I think
Yeah,
it worked just fine.
yeah. I like the fact that they made the design look like that they were unstable. Like
Mm.
anything they do would just keep them out of the norm, especially like when it was time to welcome them, and like due to I don't know. I have a theory that that translator machine is not the best translator machine. But
No,
when
not at all.
but when the hippies got all happy and they threw the dove out, it's just that inspiration. They're like, "The hell is that?" And they just shot it, and it's like they after that they were just unstable. They felt like fish out of water when they were walking in with their eyes bugging out and just looking around and everything like that. But I think that's what gave them character of them looking so freaked out and not knowing what's going on. Um, as for the cheesiness, I agree with what you said. On top of that, if I can piggyback on that, I like the fact of how foolish that humans are, and there is, and I like Independence Day, which we're gonna have. There's gonna be the conversation comparison because even at that time, it was a comparison to that. Compared to Independence Day, we do get the sort of people where you got the government that is concerned what to do with these aliens. You have the people that are like, hey, let's befriend them. They come in peace. You get those diversity of different groups of people that have their own beliefs of how they should treat aliens. The Mars Attack does that too. And I think it's funny because the president himself gave them so many chances. And I think that was the part that's so funny. They're like, you know what? Maybe it's the birds. That was the problem. They freaked them out. Let's try another time. Let's try another time. And then they're just dicks. And I just thought that was really, really funny in that way that like it took so many times for them to like realize, okay, these are terrible people or terrible race. Let's destroy them. Now let's fight them. After like I don't know how many people died in the making of them realizing this. About over like 500 people have died doing that. And so
Yes.
so
A complete massacre. It was like the Kingsman scene where he
at the
just goes
church.
and destroys everybody in the church. It's like they died, you know. I just want you to know, like
Hmm.
mistake or not, like he killed them all.
I will say though, I think that due to certain budget cuts and everything like that, I do think there's some things that didn't quite work well in my opinion. For instance, like you couldn't sell me that the military were that weak against the aliens. I think that was a little weird in that way. I know that like aliens have these awesome weapons, but like in the beginning there were tanks, helicopters, and it's like I don't know if I was sold on that particularly. And then through the whole movie, like the one thing that shout out at me, and not please correct me if I'm wrong here, maybe they didn't have them at the time. I never saw fighter jets. Like, did fighter jets not exist in that time or in that era that it was? Because I was like, I would think fighter jets would exist in some time to fight these alien ships flying around and everything like that. They really treat Earth that like we are not at technology at that time.
All right. So uh, the conversation kind of goes into a more philosophical way of looking at it, right? Because I look at this philosophically different than you do,
Yeah,
and it has absolutely nothing to do with like why you're asking those questions because that's fair. Here's the thing. My philosophical belief that if aliens ever came to Earth, ever invaded Earth, we were doomed.
right.
Doesn't matter what we do because the fact that they can go from somewhere else in a galaxy far, far away and find their way to our world, and we can't even get to Mars. Like
They are from
physically, we
Mars, I
can't get to
believe.
Mars.
They are from Mars, so they're like right next to us. They just like hidden,
But I
right?
mean, we can't personally fly over to Mars.
Oh,
We had
yeah, I get that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or we can't like do certain things. Like we can't even make poop potatoes like Matt Damon did in The Martian.
Mm.
Um, that if aliens truly came to our world and had like advanced technology, we were screwed one way or the other. So it wouldn't have mattered what we would have had at the time. I, I, so philosophically speaking, I don't think it would have mattered what we had because we were screwed either way. The other thing, when you were saying about the tanks and everything, right? So they thought the dove was the thing that could have caused the thing, which was kind of funny, right? Because I love Natalie Portman's character. It's like, yeah, it could have been the dove.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
she just had to be a smartass and say
yeah, yeah,
whatever she had to say at the
yeah.
end, like in there, right?
Mhm.
Which, oh my God, Natalie Portman was so young in this movie.
Yeah, she
Um,
was.
it's not that we went there with tanks and like weapons and everything like that, just in front of all the Martians, and thought to ourselves like that isn't hostile at any way, shape, or form. Oh yeah, we're gonna go meet them, but we got tanks and everything just like chilling all the way around the thing, like little like guns and everything, soldiers armed. Like that's not hostile at all. It's the dove. It's the dove that made it hostile. Just
I
what you didn't know.
I guess my counter to that is like even if they did lose, I really just wanted that to be on the table of hey, at least they tried, even though they lost in a dumb way. Like that's what I guess I was going for that. Like yeah, you have these tanks, and yeah, I get that they lost, but it's like three against the whole army, and it's like okay, whatever. But at least like if I saw at least they tried and still lost, I would have been fine with that. But I
But
guess
then,
yeah, go ahead,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, then Decker wouldn't be Decker. General Decker wouldn't be General Decker.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. Because
You
other
can't let
guy,
him just be
because
the
the other general
angry like
died. So,
yeah.
no, I get both.
What-
I get your point definitely that the point of this movie is that no matter what we are doomed from doomed from the start. I get that 100%. And I guess like for me, like if it was going to be doomed from the start, I really just wanted to see if they would be goofy. I mean, hell, Jack Black put his life on the line putting the effort into that scene. So I was like, come on. So if he could do it, why can we not at least make it like kind of more funny, believable that, they're putting everything they got at these aliens. I mean, they shot a nuke and and it ended up being a peace pipe for them to smoke up there. I mean, come on. Like I just, at least they gave me what they got, right? That's what I want. That's what I want. Like, try everything. I don't care if they lose. It's a Looney Tune cartoon kind of style. Like, be funny with it. Give me everything you got as a military. Now, as a comedy for this movie that they were going on, there were some things that worked and some things that did not work. And I feel like some things could have kind of would have been bypassed that. So what are some examples of that? I think one example for me particularly, I will definitely say it was the whole, how can I put it? The kind of the casino world of what it is. I think it's Jack Nicholson's alter character.
Alter Karen.
I
Yeah.
think he did nothing for the film other than with his wife, I guess in a way, but like him playing the double role of that didn't work for me because like him as a president was fine, but here it was like you're trying to sell this. You're like your whole story in this movie was kind of pointless to me, and you weren't really a funny character to me in this. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I don't disagree with you on that one at all. But I mean, to be fair, he was the highest paid actor in this movie, so they wanted to have do a double role.
You're
right?
not wrong. You are not wrong on
And-
that point. Yes,
and
in a
I
business
think-
world,
I
I
think
get that.
I think the ongoing joke was something. I think Jack Nicholson had an ongoing joke with Tim Burton. I think with this movie where he was just like, "How about I just play all the characters?"
Oh yeah.
And Tim Burton was like, "Okay, I got you."
Yeah.
So I think that's why the second character came about. But
Okay.
hey, it's more Jack Nicholson. What can you say? He was getting paid.
Mhm.
He was the only one getting paid, so he actually deserved it too. I'll give him that.
And then I would say, I wish there was more alien comedic stuff. I think there still wasn't enough in my book. I mean, they were everywhere,
okay.
but I feel like there was more stuff. I think they could have got creative with it, but I bet it because it was budget, they had to cut some ties and stuff like that. I mean, you had the fake prostitute that he went with. You had the aliens, with the giant robot walking thing. You had the aliens, of course, invade not only Congress, but also invade other places in the world. But I think that's what I wanted. Maybe more them doing more stuff in the other worlds. I mean, the only thing we got was like Paris, where the prime minister calls them and say, "Hey, we're making a deal with them." Like, get out of that room, and all that. What about you, Nam? Is there anything that you think there should have been more of? You thought it was a good balance of comedy or whatever?
So I would have loved to have seen more of the aliens do more stuff into the foreign areas like in Japan or all the other ones like you had said. I think that I think the little bit that they had there with the French was kind of sad because I think it was very vanilla. If you feel like they were just like, get out, you should get out. The person I was kind of the most disappointed with, and I know why he was in this movie, was the only real reason why he was in this movie is to get the Martian girl Lisa Marie, who was Tim Burton's girlfriend at the time, into the movie and into the White House. That was the only real reason why she was in this, why he was in this movie. So Martin Short, like I watched Martin Short's character in this movie, and I like Martin Short, and I wanted to see more of it. But anyway, so I think it was kind of egregious to see the Martian robot where they smashed the two trailers together, and then he went to go chase that boy in the truck. I felt that that scene itself was kind of a flex for them to show what they could do, but then again, I felt I would have liked to have seen that in a more destructive role, like amongst like the army, kind of like what you were saying, where the U.S. Army is trying, where they would intercept a fighter jet or something like that, a helicopter or anything along that lines, and like just toss it to the ground.
Hmm.
And I was kind of sad that Michael J. Fox's character, was just there.
Yeah.
Mostly, I think a lot of that was because of like knowing his health issues and the little opportunity that we would have gotten a chance to see Michael J. Fox actually do something. Like it would just be nice to see Michael J. Fox do more because we know what the end result's going to be.
Right. On your robot part, I think Vegas would have been the perfect place to do the robot attack, in my opinion, because there's just a lot of landmarks and stuff like that. So that would have been a good place to do that disaster. Um,
Hmm.
Now, the conclusion of how they defeated the aliens, I actually low key kind of like the idea. And I think it's also a funny thing of making fun of country music. Like, is country music is that what you got? Like, I feel like they were saying country music is so bad that it does this and the aliens does. Is that the vibe you got?
Um, that they wouldn't have known what it is. Like no matter how advanced they are to actually hear this kind of music, they're just like, oh, 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 oh. It's so basic that we're gonna die because of it. You, it's actually kind of interesting because I think Howard Stern, the radio talk show host over there in New York, said he had wrote something where aliens would get killed by the same particular kind of music, same artist and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Tim Burton was just like, or Tim Burton or the writer, one of the two were just kind of like, that's a coincidence because, yeah, we wouldn't have taken any ideas from you. But apparently, this was the thing. Apparently, this idea was at least passed to two different people. So
Yeah.
kudos to people who like that music. But I thought it was really cool. I thought it was kind of fun. It's better than, Water. Spoiler alert, guys. Water with the signs. M. Night Shyamalan. What a twist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or The Flu in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Or no,
No,
is
no,
that
no,
not?
no.
It's not
Wars
Close
of the
Encounters.
World. Wars of the World was the flu.
World of the Worlds
Yeah.
with
World of the Worlds with Tom Cruise.
Tom fucking Cruise.
Yes. 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 But the plot of Mars Attack is so simple that there's not too much to talk about because it's all about small story events that happen during the attack. And so that's where we're going to go right into the cast because the cast is the ones that really is the story of this. As you're following not only a president, but you're following, a retired boxman. You are following a kid's troubled kids and a mother. You're following a hippie girl. You're following different president aides. You're following just so many different people, even people that like they have one part, then they come back later, and you still don't know what they do. So Danny DeVito, by the way, but you're going through this, so you're following like just these different characters are happening through that. I do ask you, Nam, do you like the concept of that? Because they're not the first ones that done it, but we have seen movies where we follow a lot of different characters doing different stuff. You could say Independence Day kind of did that similar, right? Where we're
Yeah.
following different characters, not as to the name high number of these kind of cast of characters, but we do follow a lot of different characters during an epic event that is happening. Are you a fan of that particular? And did Mars Attack do a good job to you of doing it the way they were trying to do?
I think if you were to do a star-studded cast and you were going to get them in a situation where like they react differently, especially in a mass a mass disaster movie like Mars Attacks, where an alien invasion. It makes a lot more sense, right? Because if you did it for something like Beetlejuice, I don't quite think it would make sense. Or if you did Edward Scissorhands, where they just randomly show up as neighbors, it makes no sense. So I think it works perfectly for this style of movie,
Mm-hmm.
for how they wanted to do it. I thought they did a good job of like showcasing everybody just enough. In this instance, I think they're wanting to get as many people as they can, so they had to write different stories for everybody, a little bit of a different stories, things have them interact in some way, shape, or facet or form. I think a movie that I prefer when it comes to like star-studded movies with a big cast, and it's also how they interact with each other. Obviously, to me, the Ocean's movies like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, like those movies I enjoy because like they're all like main characters and side characters that have like their own particular roles. Here you kind of have to because I expect people to die.
Mm-hmm.
People were going to die in this movie and how they died. I think that's the one part I was kind of disappointed with is how they died because I felt like you could have played with that a lot more. How each of the characters died and made it very unique to each one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would have been fun, right? Because then we got a chance to get to know these people. You like some, you hate some, and how they die in a very stupid or funny way would be more unique, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there were some interesting ones, but not enough, right? Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah, and we'll talk, and we'll definitely talk. We got one highlight of someone getting stabbed by a fake hand, someone getting killed, being shrunk to a little bit, and being stepped on. Like I agree. Those are some interesting ones instead of like ray gun. I don't know how many times someone could be turned into red bones and then green goo.
or green. Yeah, pretty much.
Enough to be like, okay, we get it. Like you have the giant robot, but you didn't do a lot with that robot. You had that giant ray gun that was going after the grandmother in that old retirement home. Did not even use it once. So like the material was there, but just never utilized that. So I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that. But due to this movie having such a cast and following I thought the movie's pace was pretty good. I wouldn't I don't know if I would say there was really any slowdown in my opinion. I think it was more of maybe you wish that like you had more time with certain characters before something happened to them.
Yeah, that's fair.
But other than that, I get what they were trying to go with the budget. So, cast. People need to understand how big this cast is. So I'm going to run down just a couple of them. And I mean a couple, I mean a lot of them. But you have Jack Nicholson, you have Glenn Close, you have Annette, I'm going to butcher your name, Bing, Pierce Brosnan.
Benning.
What is it?
Annette Bening.
Oh, Benning, okay. Pierce Brosnan, Danny DeVito, Martin Short, Sarah Jessica Parker, Michael J. Fox, Rod Steiger? Anyways, Tom Jones, Lucas Hayes, Natalie Portman, Jim Brown, Christina Applegate, and Ray J? So there was a lot of...
Ray J? Yeah, Ray J.
Which I got confused. I thought that was Kel Mitchell. For the longest time.
They all look alike, Jeremy.
Yeah, and then that
How dare you? How dare you say that?
Yeah, and then that little kid, I only know him from like another black film later on called Soul Food. So, but I didn't write his name on there. This is a pretty big cast, and the fact that it's 60, I couldn't tell you 60 without like drawing from like Tom Hanks and stuff. But it is surprising seeing this cast that Michael Keaton wasn't able to make it to this. Johnny Depp.
None of the people from Beetlejuice. None of them.
No, Alec Baldwin, Winona Ryder. No, you're absolutely right. None of them made it on there. Nobody from Edward Scissorhands. I would argue.
That I don't know 100%.
No, so yeah, it's crazy because you would think that, especially I can picture Michael Keaton in this film, as goofy as he is. I could picture him in this, especially like Jack Nicholson's in it.
Yeah, I think so. I think Keaton could have played. I don't know. I felt like Keaton could have played Pierce Brosnan, Professor Donald Kessler, in his magic murder bag.
Or he could have been not the double role of Jack Nicholson. He could have been the casino guy.
No, the casino guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the question is, Nam, for this part of the conversation is, what out of all these characters I mentioned, even you can even mention actors that I didn't mention on this list that stood out to you. What actors in their character stood out to you in what scene? Like got you like, good for you, or that was hilarious, or whatever. Even if you don't like it, like who stood out to you?
Oh, all right. So I like Jim Brown's character, just in general, Byron the boxer, right? I
Mhm.
just liked his character in general. The one I did enjoy the most was Jack Black because he died. Um, I don't hate Jack Black that bad, guys. I'm just not a huge fan.
Jack Black
But
scene is hilarious to me.
kudos to him. Kudos to him for being like that, for being in shape and everything like that in this movie. Like he played his character perfectly. For some reason or another, I'm just not a humongous fan of his.
Okay.
I think the one person, all right, besides Natalie Portman, she surprised me because I was just like, wow, she looks as young as she does in like The Professional. It's like
Mm.
that's crazy. But the
Natalie
one,
Portman, by the way, Natalie Portman is such the girl character in Tim Burton's film that's kind of like feels like the outcast, the one that would say smart shit like that. So go on.
I think Tom Jones is the guy that stole the movie from me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect anything from him. I just didn't. And he came in, like bases were loaded. They threw him a pitch and he hit a grand slam. That's exactly how I felt. Like he came off the bench, put 30 points on 30 points on them in like 10 minutes and won the game. Like Tom Jones came out of nowhere to me and just rocked it. I thought he was hysterical. I thought he did his thing and everybody reacted to him the way they needed to react to him because it's Tom fucking Jones, right?
Dude,
It's not unusual.
dude, he killed that. And the funniest part, I wish they did it a little longer. But then when the aliens came out just dancing, I thought it was the
Yeah,
freakest thing because they were thrusted, they were getting
yeah,
into it, and then like I just wish it was a little longer. And then they discover it,
yeah,
and then they went. But that was probably one of my top highlight moments of this film. That part was
yeah.
so freaking hilarious.
I, I will get, yeah, that part where like the singers, the backup singers just disappeared and
Yeah,
you just kind of turn around and just
yeah,
like, what the hell? Like I do agree. I
yeah.
think an extra like 30 seconds or 15 seconds of that would have been even better. Like
Yes,
he would have just kept going and then
yeah,
they just kept dancing
yeah.
and then they would back up singing. They do a little quack sound and I'd be like, what? I think that would have been cool. All right. So I will say this. So Sex and the City seems to be a common theme for us here lately, apparently.
uh,
I've never been a Sarah Jessica Parker person,
mhm.
but in this movie where she was like on the couch talking to Michael J. Fox, she was super cute to me. I was just like, I don't know what it was. I was
Mhm.
just like, yeah, I see it now. I don't normally see it, but she's super cute. Okay, I
Mhm.
can dig this. But her interaction with Kessler was it's not real, Jeremy. That doesn't happen in real life, Jeremy. That doesn't happen in real life. That is my point of contention.
Yeah.
Huh. Like I knew it. I knew it. I knew the heads were gonna roll together and they were gonna kiss. I was just like, damn it.
Mhm.
He's like, I love you. It's like I love you too. Like you guys just talked to each other in the interview. Are you serious?
I think is hilarious for that particular scene where they had to do the scene where they had to have the head cut off, but
Yeah.
with the rest of like they had to probably wear all green suit or something right there.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they had to probably roll their bodies back and forth to pretend. I bet that is so funny just to actually be a fly on the wall to see how they pull that scene and they have to roll their bodies to pretend they like to try to kiss each other. I
Yes.
think that's funny.
Yeah. I agree.
Any other ones before I speak mine?
I mean, I like Jim Brown's character just because it's Jim Brown. I think the whole boxer thing, like how he went out was kind of like a bitch. I felt that was one of those creative endings. I think he could have went out more of like a G,
And
and he
now
didn't
and never
really go
seen him
out like a
again.
G. Yeah, he just got beat down and that was it.
Yeah.
Um, I think Glenn Close got X'd out like a lot better than he did. Oh my god. Anybody else? I think Natalie Portman's like smart ass like comments like throughout the entire.
Yeah, that was
Like,
that was probably like anything she was really in was really funny in her own way.
yeah.
Um,
No, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say to your Jim Brown part, I do like the fact that like the one of the aliens with like the leader of them was really down for it. He's like, oh, okay, you want to get your ass beat? All right, let's do this.
I was like, I sat there and just like, okay, okay.
I was down.
He
I
was
was
gonna
down.
do something.
It was
Like he was
so
gonna
funny.
go like Yoda Kung Fu or something. I don't know.
At least
He
that,
just
see,
got
that's
his
why I
ass
enjoyed
whooped.
the aliens. That's more of I wanted to see. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. They're not just straight up like shoot a gun. They're like, oh, you calling me out? All right.
Yeah.
We might not speak the same language, but I know when people disrobe, they want to throw down. What's going on, guy?
Yeah. They're arrogant enough to just sit there and be like, all right, let's go for it. Uh, I think, all right. So the most disappointing part, I think, in this movie for me was the Michael J. Fox part. I know I had talked about it a little bit, but just like that over dramatic, like simping of Sarah Jessica Parker, and then he's like, and they're
Yeah.
just like kind of reaching, and then he just disappears. I was just like, oh, like y'all could have at least done like a Back to the Future thing or something.
Dude, you have to admit though, it was funny during the interview with Kessler
Oh yeah.
and the report. He's like, "Is he copping a feel?"
Is she flirting with him? I did like that. I thought that was pretty funny.
Some standouts for me. Some of you highlight. I actually like Jack Nicholson's final speech before to his death. I thought that was a
Oh, yeah,
really
that's
fun
fair.
speech for what it is because like I like how the Martian had a tear in his eye and all that stuff. But that was a good speech. I thought it was really hilarious because it was like that whole like, man, I have nothing to lose. Let me just get this out of my mind. Look, man, this is a big universe. All right, your Mars, we're Earth.
So
That was
his
the
death
best
was
part.
disappointing. I would say his death was disappointing though.
Yes.
I think his death was. I felt like it would have been fun if they would have did the homage to like the Joker with
Oh,
the
yeah.
handshake thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it would have. I think it would have been a cool homage if they would have done that. But the hand that came around and just like stabs him through the chest and he falls down and dies. I'm just like, that's so anticlimactic. I feel. I guess because we were expecting something to happen with the handshake, but I don't know.
hmm
If they would have did the Joker thing where they shocked him to death and he just turned into like dust, that would have been awesome.
I know, right? I will say, like, as much as like you were kind of disappointed, Martin Short, I did like the prostitute scene. Um, I like my
Which
favorite.
one?
The main one with the alien disguise. So
Yeah, the Martian girl, right? I got you.
yeah, the Martian prostitute girl. So especially I like the idea that he just first of all he acknowledged that she floats. Thought that was pretty funny, and then the fact my favorite part is when he went into the secret room after pressing. I believe it is
Kennedy.
Kennedy's head, and you see this beautiful aquarium thing, and behind it he has his bed, and I love he hopped on the bed because I haven't heard a bed so hard in my life in a film, and he hit that hard. I'm like, dude, does that hurt? Like I felt like that hurt, like, and so I thought that was really funny. And then like, look, I don't care what kind of guy you are. I don't think any girl would like you to put their finger in their mouth. Because you're going to get it chewed off or something. Like, so I just thought it was funny. Like, do you do that to all the women, all the prostitutes you talk to? Like, yeah, you know, smile there. It's like, I don't think that was a good idea. I don't think that was a good idea.
Hey, better than his finger than something else. I'm just saying.
um, I also, like you said, like the Tom Jones, I like that one. I thought maybe I was expecting more from Richie. The
Was he the main kid?
the donut boy.
Yeah,
I was
the
expecting
Jack
more.
Black's brother or whatever.
Yeah, I was expecting more from him. I think he was just kind of just there. I think the grandmother, was the
could you
hero.
what could you expect from him? He got a kiss from Natalie Portman. What more can you expect out of that? I'm just saying. He shot one shot, made his shot. He didn't even do it. He was like, "You don't even have to." And she's like, "I will though." And you know what? Bullshit.
I guess
This is my single hatred going.
no, you have a point there. I mean, he
No.
got a kiss from Amanda Born. I mean, he saved the day, so good for him and all that. I just think that,
I don't disagree though. I do agree with you there.
but I
I
think
do. I expect more from him.
yeah, I think it would have been cool if he got a little bit more of a hero moment other than the music did it. Like, say the chase scene with the robot. I feel like you just got the lucky turn that he ran into the wires and died. It would have been kind of cool if he had a moment of something where he outsmarted one of the aliens or something like that. But especially like his family were just like treating him like crap. He's nothing to them and all this stuff. Hell, I thought maybe it'd be something related with the donut. That maybe
Yeah, there
since
was,
he
there
brought
was
up
a lot
donuts all
of
the
the
time.
donut thing. I will say though, with Richie's character, I think like in most movies, there's always this build I don't know if the build actually hit home to us in when we're watching this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know how there's always a build for like a character, kind of like they did in Independence Day, where they built a character from the ground up where he eventually grows up. Like I got more of a build from the two black kids than I got from the actual like.
And you know what? I didn't care for those two black kids. I didn't
I
care
mean, that's
for.
fair. Yeah.
I think like it was weird that they were playing a video game that looked like the aliens that were coming down. I thought it was weird that they automatically knew how to gun. I felt weird that for one moment they were saying get the president out here, and the next moment they're at home. After that, I'm like, okay, like
They served their purpose. They brought Pam Grier to the movie. All right.
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I'm
So,
lonely, guys. I'm sorry.
Christina Applegate, as hot as she is, thought it was a waste of her part for that film. I get it, especially like, yeah, you cheated on your soldier boy. Like, okay, whatever, man, whatever. And then he ends up dying with the parents. I don't know. But yeah, those are kind of the things that really stood out to me. Now, it's surprising because we never brought up Pierce Brosnan. Like, he did some major parts here, and I guess he didn't do enough for us to mention him that much. I think he was just there, being the
He
pretty
needed a
boy.
magic murder bag. I'm just saying.
Did he now? Did he now? And I think,
Yeah.
and Danny DeVito. I think Danny DeVito was
Yeah.
a waste for what he was. I thought he was going to get a
Just
better
an
part.
overcrazed fan.
Say what?
It was just an overcrazed fan, though, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Well, he was. He was there for the casino, and then he saw Jim Brown, and then he saw Tom Jones. He just got excited. All that kind of stuff.
Oh, I don't know who it was. Pierce Brosnan wasn't the original guy that was supposed to play that character. Like they were gonna use somebody else, and for the life of me, I cannot think of who it was. Um,
But I will say
uh,
this: I thought this was really cool. Now in the movie, when they were trying to translate what the alien is saying, because in the whole movie they only say one word, "ack,"
yeah,
ACX, ack for everything. They had a machinery that Dr. Kessler and his assistant had made, and man, that thing is complicated. Like you got to record and you got to rewind it and all this stuff. And basically, they translate what they believe that they're trying to say, and you hear the speaker of the translator, right? I
yeah.
didn't know this, but the guy that did his voice ended up being the voice for Ghostface and Scream, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
And I think that's really cool. Because now if you go listen to Ghostface in the old ones when he talks, he probably kind of sounds similar to the speaker that was played. So,
Yeah, no, I did not know that. I think that is kind of cool that they did that. Oh, okay. So some of the random casting things. Susan Sarandon was supposed to play Glenn Close's character, right?
mm-hmm.
And I think or not Susan Sarandon. I think Susan Sarandon was supposed to play the hippie girl.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then I think they were talking about Hugh. Oh my God, what's his name? Hugh something. The good-looking, like doctor-looking guy. Hugh Laurie? No, not Hugh Laurie. That's the doctor.
In what?
Grant. Hugh
Oh,
Grant.
Hugh Grant. Oh, okay.
They thought they were gonna have Hugh Grant play what's his name's character.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been interesting. Kessler's character.
Okay.
So that would have been interesting. But yeah, no, I figured I just mentioned that.
No, that's very interesting because this is mainly what the movie's about. It's an alien invasion, but it's just an all-star cast coming to do this cheesy, fun thing. And that's the one thing I think I was happy about this film was it looked like everybody was having fun of the role they were doing. It didn't feel like some of the actors were just like, this is miserable, kind of thing. So I enjoy it for what it is. I think it's a unique film that, nowadays we don't get a lot of cheesy alien invasion movies anymore. I think this is the only one I could think of. Unless you could tell me anything else further than that, I can't think of another alien cheesy invasion movie.
So, I mean, Paul. It's not really an invasion movie, but
but as an alien movie, you are right, Paul. Yes,
yeah,
you are right. But yeah, as a movie like Mars Attack,
yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, and so yeah, so that is all I want to say about Mars Attack. Do you have anything else you want to add to Mars Attack before we wrap this up?
We were lucky that we got Mars Attacks because originally they were talking about doing dinosaur attacks. I don't know if you knew about
I
that.
saw that because of Jurassic Park.
But they chose not to because of Jurassic Park, which is funny because even though Mars Attacks came out, Independence Day came out not too long after that.
Mm-hmm.
So it became, or actually before that, if I'm not mistaken, Independence Day came out before that. So they
Such a
thought it
terrible
was
title.
a satirical thing. So there's a lot of rumors going around back and forth about how much they cut out of this movie because it was like Independence Day. But then again,
Mm-hmm.
there are rumors the other way too, where people were just like, how could we know? Like, we don't know what the other movie was made at when we made this movie.
Right.
So
I think what came to that is just if Mars Attack came out like the year after, maybe, just maybe, the conversation would change. But since both of them came out the same year and Independence Day was first, that's the reason why we have that comparison. Which when I look at the movie, I didn't really look at that kind of comparison of the alien invasion like that. I looked at it as this is just supposed to be a goofy movie for what it is. And I know some people said it. They said that it was mocking. It was a mocking of Independence Day. I'm like, I don't get that either, because if that was the case, one lead character would have been black, and then you would have the crazy scientists, all this kind of stuff. So it is what it is.
like they had moments. They had moments. So, like
Mm-hmm.
I did go into Mars Attacks thinking myself, like, trying to remember how Independence Day was. And I think there were some moments where I was just like, I can kind of see the similarities, but I mean, ultimately, obviously, two different movies and two different styles and how they do it. But you can see some similarities, not very much though.
Right, because the quote that I told you off the air, and I'll say it here for anybody that wants to later on see it. Jonathan Jim stated, Independence Day is more like a movie called Failsafe, and Mars Attack is like Doctor Strangelove, and both films have similar stories but with different tones. And I agree that Doctor Strangelove for Mars Attack, because when we did our talk about Doctor Strangelove, we understand like the satire, and we like the idea of what they were doing and just the goofiness that they were going for that. So, but with that, remember, you can always leave a comment down below. Have you seen Mars Attack? You want to go check it out? Leave a comment below and tell me what you think about it. And definitely check out our other videos that we have on here, as Nam and I have our own playlist, and we'll love to see which playlist got more hits and just see which one had the better old school past attraction selections and whatnot. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe. We'll love for you to be part of it so you can be up to date with every episode that we post on this page mostly. So with that, thank you so much, and we will catch you on our next attraction.